I'm Don Ward, and I want to give you some encouragement today because you're probably sitting there like many couples that are saying, oh, when we have the money, we're going to have kids. I can't wait till we have enough money to have kids. And then they get the report, oh my God, I'm pregnant. You know what? You're never going to have the money to have kids. You're never going to have the money to start your business. It's the same thing. There are ways that you can start a business today, and one good way to learn a business, to start here as an example, is to go help somebody who's already in that business and volunteer. Become so indispensable, they go, could I pay you to be a part of this business? Now think about it. You are now in an apprentice situation being paid to learn how to do what you've always wanted to do. That's ideal. You can learn in 6 months in a situation like that what you couldn't get from 2 years in a trade school. You couldn't get 4 years in a business school. And you could get it while you're being paid. So you can sit here and go, well, I can't do this business right now because I don't have the money. Or you could take some initiative. And you could put yourself in the path of somebody who's doing what you want to do. Remember, a mentor is on the same road you're on, but they're down the road. That's what you need to do, is find those mentors. Find them before you get into business. And I wish I knew that when I was 30 years old. Within 5 years, it was about a $5 million company, and I was impressed. I'm going, well, look what I'm doing. But you know what? Until I brought other people into my life that knew more, they were further down the road, I never was able to break that mark. And that took having a team of advisors. I didn't get for the first 10 years I was in business that a team could be anything more than some employees I paid. And let me tell you, employees do not make a good advisory team. And number one, Lee Iacocca, I'll give you this real quick. One of the things I loved about Lee Iacocca, it was the opposite of Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton would take a poll and then do whatever the polls told him. Lee Iacocca would take a poll of all his employees and do exactly the opposite, because he knew that they would always vote in the direction of fear. Fear-based thinking isn't going to take you anywhere in the entrepreneurial world. And so if you sit here and you want to believe you need money to make money, you might as well cut the video off now. But if you want a little hope, let me tell you a story about how I started CEO Clubs Florida. I found out about it through the guy that was the mentor to the person who was the CEO of CEO Clubs of America. And he said, you got to let this guy take over Florida. Give him Florida. And I knew that it was probably about a $75,000 franchise. So to me, when I was told, hey, you should think about taking this over and bringing this to Florida, I'm going, yeah, well, I'm not paying $75,000 for anything. Why? Because one of my sayings is, if it's a God idea, God picks up the check. If it's my idea, I do. Well, guess what? I said, what's this going to cost me? He goes, oh, no, you don't get it. I'm the mentor. I have favor with the CEO of CEO Clubs of America. I told him to give it to you. Okay, all right. That sounds kind of like the idea I was looking for. So it didn't cost anything to bring it here. It was costing me my energy. It was costing me access and influence to speakers that I was going to need, to people that had incredible boardrooms that I wanted to use. But it kind of went like this. I said, okay, let's do it. I need to have a boardroom now to where I could be doing this. Well, let's see. Yeah, I still know a lot of CEOs from another season of my life where I was in a CEO organization for 4 years. And I said, so I'll call on some of those old friends I haven't talked to in a few years and see if I can't get them to be speakers for me. And these are $5,000 an hour kind of people. And see if I still have favor with them. Well, do you know how many of them have spoken for me over the last 3 years for free? All of them. What did that save me in money? Imagine I had to pay for 2 events a month for 12 months a year for 3 years, $5,000 an hour for those kinds of speakers. That's a fortune. Well, favor, that's one of the currencies I wanted to tell you about. I had favor in getting the opportunity. I had favor in finding the boardrooms. I had a gal came into my life. She had been an anchor woman up in Omaha for 8 years and 4 years up in Canada. And I just happened to meet her when she moved right here. And I said, what are you doing? She goes, well, I want to start a videography business. I said, well, you need to talk to decision makers. And I want you to come and have a seat at my next CEO Clubs event. So she comes, and she's there, and she gets through, and she says, I'm supposed to do your testimonial videos, and I'm supposed to do a promotional video. And I said, how much? She goes, oh, no, 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 for free. She goes, oh, and by the way, I got 5 clients at my first meeting. All right, good deal. Well, then I had a branding friend, and incredible. I mean, I've worked with people that have done the branding for Hewlett-Packard, and the next year they beat Dell. I've worked with branders that rebranded Disney, and they were in the red one year, in the black the next year. They're the best of the best, 6-figure kind of guys for any contract that they do for even a small company. And this guy was just as good, but more like the $5,000 mark instead of the $100,000 mark for his work. And he comes to my meeting and he goes, oh, I wish I could join here. I said, what if I gave you a seat at the table and I gave you a membership? He said, if you do that for me, I will give you your branding for life. Suddenly I had branding for life. He branded 3 things that I've done. And so how much did that cost? A seat at the table. You know, that's barter. But he was doing that before if I told the story right, he came to an event. I had 3 Fortune 50 speakers there. At the end, he comes up to me and he goes, God told me I'm supposed to do your branding for you. All right. He goes, and I want to do your website for you. Okay. Sounds good. I said, well, if you're going to do that, I'm going to give you a membership. You're a lifetime member. He goes, oh, great, wonderful. So out of that, he was happy. He got so busy, I haven't seen him in the last year. The first 2 years, he picked up so much business being a part of that group. I haven't seen him. But you know what? I know that if I called him up and I needed something, I'd be able to get it done. How much did that cost for branding? Nothing. You know, branding can be expensive. That's just another example. Then I had friends that have, in 8 cities, they have incredible 5-star virtual offices. I have virtual office suites downtown on the 15th floor of the plaza. Cost? Free. Why? Favor. I have virtual offices in Heathrow, the best part of Seminole County here, just outside of northeast of Orlando. You know how much it cost? Nothing. Free. We had a boardroom that was built for us for free, and now 2 years later it was just completely remodeled. The seating was increased, new screen, a new projector, and you know how much that cost? Oh, that's right, favor, nothing. And there's so many different things that have come along, and somebody would say, man, I'd like to be a member, but right now I got a lot of money tied up in a lot of other stuff. And I say, well, what do you do? And they tell me what they do. And I'll say, you want to trade? Yeah. You have things in your hand that are of value to other people. You can barter with them, or you can sow favor into somebody. You want to reap favor? Sow it first. I mean, isn't that a spiritual law? A spiritual law, yeah, sowing and reaping. Who would have thought in business of all things? So I just want to tell you that don't trick yourself into thinking that when the money comes, then it's time to start. Do you have a desire? If the answer is yes, that's a key. Is it a burning desire? Yes. Do you see a lot of people solving the problem that needs to be solved right now? If the answer is no, that's another clue. It's time to say yes. So I want to encourage you, if you have a burning desire to do something, first, if you're going to step out, are you stepping out in a lack of confidence? No, you have to step out in faith. Another currency. The more you spend it, the more you have. You know how many currencies I could sit here and talk to you about? That the more that you believe and you learn how to utilize them, how to access them. When you have favor, you place a demand on favor. I'll close out with this. We used to have to make a lot of trips up to Maryland from Florida and going back and forth. And 3 kids in car seats, and late at night we're pulling off and we're up in North Carolina, and all the hotel rooms are gone, and we'd always find a hotel that had 1 or 2 rooms left after a while, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, been driving since, early in the morning. And we'd go in, they said, well, we have 2 rooms left. We have a regular room for $89, and we have, oh yes, we do have the presidential suite. Well, I believe that I have favor with people. And the reason is because I treat them like people. So I would say, it's pretty late at night. What's the chance that we could have the presidential suite for the rate of the regular room? Let me make a call. They'd call back and go, well, they think it's kind of late. Probably nobody's going to come in and rent that room out, that suite out. So yeah, sure, you can have it for $89. Thank you very much. What can I do for you? I don't know, just be out of your room by noon tomorrow. Oh, we'll be out of there by about 8 o'clock in the morning. And the thing is, that placing demand on favor, that's what it looks like. When you know you have a meeting with somebody and they're sitting across the table from you, and you don't think you have favor, you had favor enough for you to have the meeting. They take your phone call. You have favor enough with them on the phone call to actually say, any chance that we could do this? Whatever the thought is that comes to mind, you go, man, I'd love to ask them the question. Just ask. What are they going to do? Say no? If you start to believe that you have favor, you will start to walk in favor. There's so many different things that we're trying to add in that add to your BQ. You know what a BQ is? Business quotient. You know what a GQ is? Your gut quotient. Do you know what an EQ is? Your emotional quotient. Do you know what an SQ is? Your spiritual quotient. Do you know what an RQ is? Your relational quotient. I have 15 of those. Each one of those is a form of a currency. And when you recognize them, you know how to utilize them, you can place a demand on them. And just know this, if you call 407-702-9499, I don't screen my calls, so you can place a demand on me. People go, I never know when's a good time to call you, Don, because you're always busy. I tell them, God must know I just hung up the telephone. The time to call me is when you think of it. I bet I just hung up the phone. It's amazing how often it works out that way. The called are always on call, and you're about to find out, because if you're going into business, you're going to be doing a lot of calls. Make sure that you make 3 phone calls a day minimum. You write 3 things down. You send 3 emails a day, and you face-to-face with 3 people every day, and you will have a successful life, a successful day, and a successful business. I'm Don Ward. Thank you very much.